Namaskar. I am Dr. Aarti Chaudhary, Assistant Professor in the Department of Ancient Indian History, Culture and Archaeology at Vasant Kanya Mahavidyalaya, Banaras Hindu University. I welcome you once again in this 12-week course titled History of Science and Technology in Ancient India from Harappan Civilization to 7th Century CE. Today, we are going to discuss Module 11 and Lecture 1. The title of Module 11 is A Brief Survey of Agricultural Practices and Knowledge of Biodiversity in Ancient India, and the title of Lecture 1 is Botanical Sciences in Ancient Indian Literature. At first, the learning objectives of this particular lecture. The learning objective of this particular lecture is to know the literary sources which gives information related to the ancient botany. Second objective is to explore traditional botanical knowledge, and the third learning objective is to understand the interdisciplinary nature of ancient botany. In this lecture, we are going to discuss these subtopics, which is important literary sources, genesis of seeds, morphology, histology, physiology, taxonomy and archaeological findings. Ancient Indian literature is not a mere religious and philosophical text which contains only mythological stories and religious rituals. Right from ancient times, Indian knowledge system also had a scientific and rational approach. They are also great source for information dealing with biological and botanical sciences, which are still relevant in today's modern era. While talking about biological science in general and botanical science in particular, these sciences seek to advance our understanding of plant life. Ancient literatures like Vedic text, epics, Puran, Kautilya Arthashastra, medical treatise of Charak, Susrut, Vagbhat, Nyay Vaisheshik text, Parasar's Vriksha Ayurveda, Buddhist literature etc. provide ample information regarding plant nomenclature, morphology, physiology, taxonomy etc. They talk about both the internal and outer structure of plant, their food manufacturing process, classification, disease and much more. Important literary sources. These literary sources are very important because these are the main source which gives information regarding the thinking, regarding the observation of ancient people regarding the botany, plant science and ecological balance. To trace the development of plant science in the context of biodiversity in ancient India, we largely depend on various forms of Sanskrit literature. Medical treatises of Charak, Susrut, Vagbhat and their various recension and commentaries not only continued the Vedic emphasis on herbal remedies for treating disease, but also recorded significant advancement in the understanding and documentation of plant biodiversity. The Agni Puran, Arthashastra and Brihad Samhita each include a section of plant science Vriksha Ayurveda, covering topics such as seed selection, germination, grafting, cutting, sowing, planting, soil quality, manuring, favorable meteorological conditions and the placement of plants to enhance both aesthetics and hygiene. The recognition of plant science as a distinct field is supported by Vatsyayan Kama Sutra, where Vriksha Ayurveda is listed as one of the 64 art in ancient India. The Krishi Parasar, a renowned agricultural treatise, further attests to this knowledge. Texts like the Nyaya Vaisheshik scriptures, Amar's lexicography and the epic Ramayana and Mahabharata occasionally offer valuable botanical insight. They generally address topics like medicine, politics and general interest. Parasar Vrikshayurved is a full-fledged treatise on plant science. The work is written in the Sutra style and divided into 6 parts, which is Vijotpadikam, Vanaspatikadam, Vanaspatyakadam, Viruddhavallikadam, Gulma Shubkandam and Chikitsa with the last part of plant disease treatment missing from the manuscript. The manuscript of Vrikshayurved was discovered by Vaidyashastri Jogendranath Vishagratna of Navadvip and later published by his son N. Sarkar in the Journal of the Asiatic Society in 1950. The treatise offer a detailed and systematic exploration of plant science, reflecting ancient India's advanced understanding of botany and its relationship with medicine. Genesis of seeds. In classical Indian text, the seed is called bij, enclosed in a vessel, bij kos, and the cotyledon as bijpatra. Parasar classified seeds as Ekmatrika bij, monocotyledonous, Dvimatrika bij, dicotyledonous. The cotyledon store food for the embryo. Germination, Ankur Bhed requires air, water and warmth. Sushrut emphasizes the combined role of season, soil, water and good seed for successful sprouting. Gunaratna in his commentary on the Saddarshan Samucchay observed that the seed of Vat, Ficus indica, Pipal, Ficus religiosa, Nimba, Milia azadirechta and other such plants germinate in the rainy season due to the combined influence of dew and air. So, just see the picture very carefully. The particular picture shows how a plant grows from a seed. The germination is expressed by the term Ankur Bhed, and this image provide a simple explanation of how a plant grows from a seed, highlighting the germination process and the part of a seed along with their Sanskrit term like Bijpatra, cotyledon, seed coat, Bijkosh, seed, Bij. Apo hi kalalam bhutva yatpind sthanak bhavet tadev vyuh manatvat bijatva madhigacchati. This shlok is from Vrikshayurveda. Water acquires the form of a zygote which further transform into an embryo. Over the transformational process, that finally takes the shape of a seed. Just carefully see the picture and the labeling. This image explains how a seed forms through the process of fertilization in a flower, pollen from the stamen that all in the ovary via the stigma and style, leading to the formation of a zygote and endosperm. The zygote developed into an embryo and along with the endosperm became enclosed in a seed coat to form a seed. The Sanskrit verse from Vriksha Ayurveda highlights this transformation, notify that water initiates the process that leads zygote to embryo and finally to seed. On the basis of this information, this picture, this slok, we can understand the scientific and logical thinking of that time period by the different scholar or the by different rishis or that person who taking care of this kind of study, botanical study and agricultural study. Their thinking was so logical and that time period this type of thinking is just like unparalleled in the world. Their observation is so scientific, so logical, and that is why this is very much near to the modern science as well. Now going forward to the morphology. What kind of information regarding the morphology is compiled in the text, Sanskrit text of ancient India? We already discussed about the text, Vedic text, the botany and environmental science which is mentioned in Vedic text, as well as we are discussing now the further explanation about the botany, agriculture, and we are seeing that there is a gradual development in the study, there is a gradual development of the thinking is showing in the further Sanskrit literature. Now, the explanation about morphology. Plant morphology is the study of the external form, structure and development of plants. It includes the examination of various plant organ and their modifications such as root, stem, leaves, flowers, fruits and seeds, along with the numerous way in which these organs may undergo modifications. Plants are broadly divided into two main parts. The subterranean part known as mool, root, and the aerial part called vistara or tula, shoot. The mool refers to the organ that anchors that plant to the soil. Various type of roots are recognized including adventitious roots, fibrous roots originating from the branches, shakha, sipaha and prop roots, anaroha. The Arthashastra also refers to acknowledge of edible bulbous roots. The shoot consists of the stem and leaves. The stem is termed kand, the term vrikshadani meaning a guest plant that absorb food from the host plant refers to a parasite, while vriksharoha meaning living on another tree describe epiphytes, lower plants such as mosses, saival, green algae, jalanili and mushrooms chhatra are acknowledged. So, on the basis of these kind of information, we can see the observation and the scientific thinking of contemporary period, because the categorization of the particular plant on the basis of morphology, on the basis of their shape, on the basis of their structure, it is also categorized by the ancient scholar. The term patra and parna used to denote leaves are derived from the leaves falling nature and its green color. A leaf may be either petiolate or sessile. Venthahina, the leaf blade of Laminia, is referred to as paksha and can be classified into four types according to Parasar. Samapaksha, symmetrical two wings; Visamapaksha, asymmetrical two wings, samyakarna symmetrical incised and visamkarna asymmetrically incised. A part of a typical flower include prasavabandhan, flower attachment, pushpavrint, pedicle, sthalak, thalamus, jalak, sepal, dal and pushpadal, petals. While no specific name for the androecium as a whole, its parts such as kesar, stamens, kinjalka, anther and parag or keshar renu pollen grains are recognized. Similarly, the components of the gynoecium are named bijadhar, ovary, vartak, style and vartak shirs, stigma. Various types of fruits are identified including green, salatu, faleshi, chirak, dry, one, leguminous, sami, simba. Varieties. Parashar devotes an entire chapter Phalang Sutri Adhyay to the study of fruits, where he explores their functions and classification in details. Now, the image shows a cross section diagram of a flower. There is labeling, you just see the labels of that particular flower which is studied by the ancient scholars. Let us see the detail. Pushpadal, petals, the large pink red outer part of the flower. Jalaka, sepals, the outer protective part below the petals. Kinjalka, anther, the yellow pollen producing structures on top of thin stalks. Varat kasirsa, stigma, the top part of the pistil that receive pollen. Bijadhar, ovary, the enlarged base where seeds develop. Sthalak, thalamus, the base portion that connects to the stem. This diagram effectively illustrates the main reproductive part of a flower, showing both male components, anthers, stamens and female components, stigma and ovary. Now, there is different kind of plant root is showing on the slide, like shakha sipha, fibrous root, and the picture is here. Second is aharoha, prop root, this kind of roots. Jalanili, green algae. Saival, mosses. Vriksharuha, epiphytes and chhatra, mushrooms. Now, moving forward to histology. Plant histology is the microscopic study of plant tissues, providing insights into the cellular and molecular structure that constitute various plant organs. It plays a crucial role in understanding plant anatomy, physiology and the functional mechanism behind their growth and development. According to Parashar Vriksha Ayurveda, leaves contain large number of invisible anavasav cell rasakosh, each covered by a cell wall of fine membrane. These cells store the sap containing 5 elements properties: panch bhautika gun, samanvitasya rasasyashayah, as also a calorific principle. The plant body possesses several transporting system. This system in the stem which distribute rasa from the earth to the various plant organ is called Syandani, and the one working in the leaves is called Sirajalani. Sirbhisko pasarpayanti apasarpayanti cha bhava bhavo. The transporting system has both upward and downward channel. Physiology. Plant physiology is the study of how plants function, focusing on their internal process, mechanism of growth and interaction with the environment. It explores vital functions such as photosynthesis, respiration, nutrient uptake, hormone signaling and stress responses, providing essential insight into plant life and adaptation, where nourishment, plant pathology, reproduction, heredity is the key aspect of this physiological study. Nourishment. Mahabharata talks about how plants drink water with the help of air, just as water is sucked to the mouth through the lotus petiole. Process of the photosynthesis in Mahabharata Van Parva is here. Nishchik Chandra Tejobhih Suyate Jagato Ravih ओषध्यः षड्रसा मेध्यास्तदन्नं प्राणिनां भुवि एवं भानुमयं हानं भूतानां प्राणधारणं नाथोऽयं सर्वभूतानां तस्मातं शरणं व्रज. Translation is, with the moon infused by its light, the sun energizes the plants with the six tastes which constitute the food for all living beings on the earth. Thus, the food that support the lives of creatures is filled with solar energy, and the sun is the father of all living things. Therefore, seek protection from the sun god. Role of the Sayandani and Srija Jalani is transporting and circulating sap. Process of circulation of sap is Kanad's Vaisheshik Sutra. We found this kind of sutra which explain this process. Utsrotastamah praya antar sparshah visheshinah. So, it is another truth that at that time of period the science is not as the form of today's, but it is really very much significant that the people of that time, they knew the importance of particular plant, their morphological study, their balance to the nature and how to balance the nature with the help of the plant science. They all know these things, that is why they always being protective with their nature, and they also wrote a big text like Vriksha Ayurveda on this particular botany and agricultural topic. Now, the plant pathology. According to Varamihir and Kashyap, plant diseases are caused by climatic conditions which are indicated by the yellowness of the leaves, dryness of the branches and exudation of sap, etc. According to Gunaratna, plants are affected by disease, displacement of or dislocation of flowers, fruit, leaves and bark in the same way as the human body suffer from the jaundice, dropsy, emaciation, stunted growth of finger, nose, etc. and respond to the treatment like human bodies. Now, the process of treatment is also mentioned in the ancient text, and they are Varamihir protophylactic treatment, application to the root of mud kneaded with ghee and vidang with rice, fish and flesh. Brihad Samhita and the Agni Puran, hot decoction prepared of Kulath, Dolichos biflorus, Masa, Phaseolus mungo, Mudg, PH radiatus, Tila, Sesmum indicum, and yav barley to be applied to the root to cure barrenness. Reproduction and heredity. Buddha Ghosh commentary Sumangalam Vilasini categorize multiple technique of plant propagation using distinct term. These terms include Moolavij, propagation through root and root based seeds, Khandabij, propagation by cutting or plant fragments, Phoolabij, joints, Agravij, budding, Bijabij, seed based reproduction. The technique of propagation through cutting, also known as Skandhabij, is discussed in several classical texts including the Arthashastra, Brahma Samhita and Sumangalam Vilasini. These sources describe its application to a variety of plants such as sugarcane, jackfruit, blackberry, pomegranate, wine, lemon tree and several species of fig tree including Ashwatha, Ficus religiosa and Udumbara, Ficus glomerata. This highlights the practical and diverse use of vegetative propagation techniques in ancient Indian horticulture practices. The method of grafting is considered superior to cutting by Varamihir. Plants like betel, samirana, ajuca, ocimum basilicum and hiriverum are propagated by the Agravij method. Charak observed that male plants typically produce white flower, large fruit and tender leaves, while female plants are distinguished by yellow flowers, smaller fruit and shorter stalks. So, this is the observation of Charak given by the male flower and female flower in the contemporary period, and gradually it is differ by flower to flower. It depends on the basic species of that particular plant. Charak and Sushrut state that the fertilizer ovum contains in miniature all the organs of the plant, for instance bamboo seeds. Now, the detailing of taxonomy, what kind of information we found related to the taxonomy in the text. Nomenclature and classification. Spatial association, Bodhidruma, Ficus religiosa, Asoka, Sarakka indica, Shivasekhar, Dhatura, etc. Morphological peculiarity, Tripatra, Panchgula, Ricinus, Vakrapushpa, Sesbania grandiflora, Satamuli, Shatavari, etc. Local or environmental association, Vaidehi, paper, Magadhi, jasmine, Jalaj, Pankeruha and lotus, etc. Medicinal and domestic properties, Karpasa, Kapas, Arsogona, Amorphophilus, Campanulatus, Tulasi, etc. Now, on behalf of the classification, Vedic classification is Vriksha, Aushadhi, Viruddha. Manu divided plants under 8 classes as follow: Aushadhi, Vanaspati, Vriksha, Guchha, Gulma, Trina, Pratana, Valli. Charak and Sushrut classify plant into 4 classes: Vanaspati, which bear fruits but not flower; Vriksha or Vanaspatya, which bears both fruit and flowers; Virudh, which creeps on the ground or entwines; Aushadhi, annual herbs which wither away after fructification. So, this classification shows the personal observation done by the different scholar at their time period. Their own observation is mentioned according to the species what they studied. YCC classifies plant under 7 categories, whereas Parasar has elaborately classified plants based on morphological feature. Archaeological findings. In the archaeological findings, the pollen analysis and these kind of botanical or archaeological analysis is very important, because this kind of result can help us to reconstruct a particular environment in a particular time period, and we can also access information regarding the settlement process, regarding the timing of a particular site, as well as their food habits and what kind of vegetation was occupied at that time of period. So, these kind of plant analysis is very important in archaeological findings, but we have to collect some kind of pollen, some kind of soil from the particular site to analyze this kind of methods. Like macro and micro botanical plants remain is essential for the archaeological analysis. Wood and charcoal remains, which help us to date of the different site, date of the different region. Ancient architectures, it is also very much important to trace the botanical and archaeological sources. Yes, because these architectures, some kind on architectures, on the wall of architecture we found some specific kind of structures regarding botany, regarding they engrave particular plant on their outer wall. So, it is also help us to reconstruct the plant science or the botanical science in a particular time period. Potteries, the seals and sealing and sculpture is also very important in terms to understand this whole structure of botany and archaeological science, botany and the agricultural science in a particular time period. So, on the basis of whole structure of this particular topic, we can say the study of plant biodiversity in ancient Indian literature reveals a high developed understanding of the botanical world, grounded in observation, classification and practical application. This textual tradition reflects not only an empirical approach to the natural world, but also an awareness of the ecological and cultural significance of plant life. Supporting this literary knowledge, archaeological evidence like plant remains, architectural features, seals, pottery and sculpture representation offer valuable insight into how plants were integrated into daily life, medicine, agriculture and ritual. These findings affirm that ancient Indian civilization maintained a sophisticated and holistic relationship within its botanical environment. Together, the literary and archaeological records illustrate a deeply interconnected world view where plants were seen not merely as resource but as integral to health, economy, spirituality and sustainability. This enduring legacy of ancient botanical science offers important lesson for the modern world, especially in the context of biodiversity conservation and the revival of traditional ecological knowledge. So, on the basis of these whole findings, these whole explanation, we can say the ancient people were much more aware regarding their surroundings, regarding their nature, regarding the protection of their plants, because this was the reason they recognized that the proper survival the smooth survival for mankind, this kind of environmental balance is much more essential, and this is the reason they studied the plant science elaborately and they wrote about this, and it is the basic platform for the modern botany, for the modern plant science as well. So, if you want to enhance your knowledge regarding this particular topic, you can consult these references. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Namaskar.